Last year, about 10 weeks before the end of the school year, I joined forces with 2 classes of 6th graders, and we launched Advertising for Good. It was crazy and awesome, and I'm going to tell you tonight how it was a little like falling in love. Before I was a teacher, I was a nightclub bartender. When you're a bartender, people tell you all the time that they love you. As a teacher, it's a little bit different. But when things are good in your classroom and your kids are all fired up and you yourself are personally engaged in the curriculum, it can definitely feel a little magical. Here, of course, are the 4 stages of falling in love. Stage 1 is attraction. This is when you find out that your OkCupid date looks almost exactly like their profile picture. For me, my attraction came for Advertising for Good in the form of a beautiful and heartbreaking 1-minute ad for War Child Canada. We had just finished our Marketing to Kids unit, where I had warned my students that companies trying to sell sneakers and cigarettes were trying to sell them self-esteem. Don't let yourself be bought, I kept trying to tell them. But mostly it just felt like I was telling them that the world was out to get them. Now we were ready for stage 2. This is like the best/worst part. Scientists say that in a new relationship, this is like being high on drugs. For Advertising for Good, this meant the whole world became inspiration for our curriculum. We found out that we deconstructed girl power stunts. We looked at street art. We found out how a giant X-ray could show us that love is love. Our vocab list included terms like activism and social responsibility. I was totally sleepless looking up PSAs. At one point, I photocopied the Trader Joe's catalog. Of course, this can't last forever because it's exhausting. So now we move into stage 3 for teachers. Formative assessment means to check in with your classes mid-lesson to make sure your kids are still with you. In a new relationship, this is where you realize your partner is an actual human being. Maybe now it gets a little annoying when your girlfriend keeps sending you Mariah Carey memes to respond to all of your text messages. For Advertising for Good, at this point, I looked around in horror to realize I was managing 20 activist campaigns built by 11-year-olds trying to work in small groups. This is when you need a turning point. For us, this turned out to be Carrie Zeeler coming to visit our school. Carrie actually worked on that War Child ad. Now remember, Carrie is an advertising professional. She is not a Kardashian or a Seahawk. And yet, as she wrapped up her talk, the entire auditorium stood up to cheer for her. Now we were ready for stage 4. We were going to make it to the end of the year. And this doesn't mean that everything was perfect. There is a boy who's here tonight who dressed up as an orca whale and climbed into a laptop cart while his friend gave a rousing speech against SeaWorld. We broke that laptop cart in front of the whole school. For another group, there were tears of frustration. Some high schoolers mistakenly thought our earnest efforts were cute. But this is by far the best stage. This is the part where you realize you are profoundly proud to be attached to the person that you're with. Or in my case, to 57 6th grade activists, some of whom are here tonight. By the end of the year, my students enthusiastically agreed that we have nailed our learning targets, and I was thrilled to realize that actually I had learned some things in the process too. By June, 100% of my students reported that they felt capable as active citizens. Some of them reported an interest in going into advertising someday. I reminded them that, in fact, all of us are all in the business of marketing. Every time we use social media, every time we go on a date, or every time we will go on a date, like far, far into the future. So I reminded them as they headed out to summer break, although I don't think I had to, just don't let yourself be bought for a pair of sneakers, and always use your advertising for good. Thank you. I'm Kristin Leong.